That's Inez de la Quatara reporting. Joining me now is Mustafa Tamiz, Democratic strategist and former consultant with the Department of Homeland Security. I'm also joined by Kenneth Del Vecchio, Republican strategist and an attorney as well. Welcome to you both. Mustafa, let me start with you. The DACA protections were put in place by former President Obama, but President Trump has been trying to roll them back since he took office. Explain why this issue is so important.
Look, it's a critical issue. You just can't have one administration after another change policy without really explaining to the public the need for it. And that's why the lower courts have voted against President Trump. Imagine if you were a DACA recipient and the government said, come out of the shadows, fill out this paperwork. You came through no fault of your own. You've lived a good life. Fill out this paperwork. Let us know who you are, and we'll give you protection under this law. And then the next administration comes in, politically says, hey, I have the heart, we're going to work with the DACA recipients, and then rescinds that order and now uses the information that people have given to work against them. It right. Just completely, regardless of where the Supreme Court lands, this changes how people trust government.
Ken, I'll bring you into the conversation here. This has been a long fight for President Trump, 2 years in the making. Now it's at the Supreme Court. Why doesn't he just let it go?
Mustafa and Democrats, what are you guys missing on a couple points here? Number one, President Trump has said time and time again that he wants to give a path to permanent residency for the DACAs. So he's not adversarial to these people. He's not adversarial to them staying in the United States. Number two, the president, the executive branch of the government, they have the unilateral rights to enforce immigration. It's up to the president, the executive branch, to make these decisions.
But you're saying that the president is not against these people, and in fact he's offered to have a deal with the Democrats to protect the Dreamers, but at the same time he's fighting so hard to repeal this rule.
I don't know why he's laughing. He's fighting to repeal it because it's only giving them temporary status. What he's going to do is allow them a path to permanent residency. Here's what I would propose. Make them pay a tax, $5,000, $1,000 a year. That's $20 a week. Make them give 100 hours a year in community service. That's 2 hours a week for 5 years. Let them have permanent residency. Guess what? The Supreme Court's not going to decide in the manner that you guys want. Because Chief Justice Roberts is going to go in the direction of the majority, just like he did on the travel ban, in not allowing people to travel into the country from certain countries, and just like he did in shifting dollars from the military to build the wall.
Mustafa, President Trump has said repeatedly why illegal immigrants are such a problem for the U.S. Today he tweeted this. Take a look. He wrote, many of the people in DACA, no longer very young, are far from angels. Some are very tough, hardened criminals. President Obama said he had no legal right to sign the order, but would anyway. If Supreme Court remedies with overturn, a deal will be made with the Dems for them to stay. So that's the offer there from President Trump, a deal with the Democrats for the Dreamers to stay in the U.S. Mustafa, would that be acceptable?
The president is not a talk show host or a pundit or a reality television personality anymore. What he says and what he does has a significant impact on people's lives. He's on the one hand saying, I have a heart for DACA, I'll make this deal. On the other hand, he's having his Justice Department, fight an existing protection that they have.
If
he's genuinely sincere about cutting a deal with them. Listen, I've given you opportunity to speak, and you have to give me the courtesy to finish my thought. You can argue.
Let him finish, Ken. Go ahead, Mustafa.
This is the combative style of President Trump. He does not care about people's lives. What he wants to do is score a political point. Because he's demonstrating that by his actions.
Are you a prognosticant with a crystal ball? The man
the same way I know you're interrupting me when I speak is that I see it, I hear it. It's not what you do and say. We have to look at your actions, and your actions are, on the one hand, you're asked to let me finish. On the other hand, you start speaking over me. So I understand what your motivation is. You don't want to hear the facts. You just want to project what you're saying.
Go ahead, make your point, Mustafa, because this is a real serious issue, and it's made its way to the Supreme Court. The justices seem to be inclined to side with the president here. I mean, what would be the result of that?
Well, look, I mean, there's 800,000 people that have given their personal information to the government. They've been vetted. They've paid thousands of dollars to be on DACA already. If the president wants to cut a deal, let's go cut a deal. But let's not first take away their status, threaten to deport all of them. 800,000 people that have given their information and then said they want to get some kind of a political deal. That's just disingenuous.
I think it's disingenuous for people to argue that the president is not being fair, that he's not being honest. He's said it numerous times that he wants to allow these people to remain in the United States. I believe that they should remain. They are here by no fault of their own. But you know what the president wants to do? He wants to tie it in with a deal for the wall. And if the Democrats really want the DACAs to stay and really care about them like the President Trump does, then what they'll do is they'll agree to put money towards the wall. President Trump will agree that they stay, and they're here forever, not this temporary thing anymore. But what's fairer than that?
And the other argument that President Trump has made, Ken and Mustafa, is that some of these illegal immigrants, the president says, commit crimes and are a danger to the country. What do you say to that, Mustafa?
It's not true. Look, the DACA recipients have gone through a tremendous amount of background checks. They've given all their information. This is the cream of the crop. These are kids that came with no fault of their own. They've gone to school. These are the kind of people that you want in this country. The president just makes a political point, and to say the president's being honest is just far from any fact that all of us have experienced in the last several years.
I'll agree with you on one point. I don't see any basis to say that the DACAs are any more likely to be inclined to commit crimes than others. I don't know if they're the cream of the crop any more than anybody else. There's many Americans who are citizens here already who are cream of the crop as well. Let's just say, give the president a chance on this, and the Democrats need to work with them. They're going to lose at the Supreme Court.
I'm going to have to leave it there. Ken, you got the last word on that. Mustafa Tamiz and Ken Del Vecchio, thank to you both for being here. Of course, this issue not going away. We'll see what the Supreme Court decides. All right. Still to come.